What's up, everybody? It's your boy Genghis John, and we are playing Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds. In this episode, we are playing the Wookiee campaign, and basically what's happening is the Empire is taking over Kashyyyk with the help of some Trandoshan slavers, and the Wookiees have called upon Han and Chewie to come help out. We're going to be playing the second mission in the campaign. Basically, what we're going to be doing is rebuilding an important structure to rally the Wookiees together and contact the Republic. So let's watch the opening cinematic and jump right into the mission.
Usually my buddy Han isn't a guy to jump into hopeless crusades, but I think he's going soft lately. No sooner had they met with Wibaka, Han was agreeing to help them rebuild their government tree and contact the Republic. All this despite the very high probability of Imperial involvement. Come to think of it, he's either going soft or he's getting crazier. Maybe both.
Alright, so you heard it. Our main objective of this mission is to rebuild the government tree and inspire the Wookiees to rise up against their Imperial captors. This mission takes a little bit longer. I had over an hour of footage that I managed to cut down, but I think it's worth it. This is a really good campaign, and this mission type is right up my wheelhouse. I love playing defense.
How is reconstructing a Wookiee tree center helping us to make contact
Because
with
it
Lando
does,
and Luke?
Han. Don't ask questions.
Okay, I'll start
Exactly.
building.
Okay, so that is the building site. You can see we've got all kinds of workers. The mission recommends starting construction on the government tree right away, but I actually don't do that. I spend a lot more time collecting resources, building my army first, and right now I'm just trying to get my defense organized and putting the workers to work. Mainly, those three just repaired the command center. We're going to fix some of these other burning buildings. We've got a bunch of workers. We've got like 8. Going to send those 2 to cut down trees for carbon. Going to have that one get Nova crystals. That one's also going to repair burning buildings. And we're going to send some after ore and some after food. Going to train the workers so they don't die quite as easily, which can happen if they get caught out against hostile forest creatures or if they stray too close to enemy turrets. There's a scout, speeder bike scout, which for the most part is useless except in this level. Very clutch, as I'm looking for other Wookiees amongst the trees to come join our cause. So we're zooming around, discovering things there. You can see decent sized settlement up there. We're going to pick up an extra worker who we're going to put to work harvesting those ore crystals, finding more workers, some nerfs, some additional troopers, which is nice, not having to spend those resources early on recruiting troops. I can build workers and train my existing troops instead. More travels there. We just discovered a bunch of troopers. Building an animal shelter so we can house all of these nerfs, have a replenishing food supply. Troopers are probably my favorite unit. I mean, they're just basic troopers, right? And here you can see we've strayed close to the Imperial base, well defended with turrets and walls. There's the other side. So now we sort of see the confines of the Imperial base. And here we have discovered a Trandoshan Wookiee slave camp. And we're going to have to go back to this camp to liberate our enslaved friends before they get turned into fur rugs. Here you can just see the layout of the forest. There's some big clumps of trees, relatively small paths. The goal later is going to be to block those off with walls. And here we're just improving our troops while we have the resources. Try to give them additional range. The base is quite a bit back from the monument building or the Wookiee Government Tree building, so I'm not too worried about the command center, the troop center, those kinds of things being attacked. So all of our defenses are more to the east, just in front of the building site. Gonna put those workers to work building turrets to increase our defenses. There's a war center, which is going to allow us to further improve our troops, giving them better armor, better attack capabilities. Farm is also going to help with the food production. Nice steady source of food. And here we're going to start building some walls so that the Imperials can't just waltz in. Gonna try to close off these forest paths. There's a spaceport to help with some resource management. And we're starting to build some anti-air troopers, which is our only defense for when the Empire sends their TIE fighters against us. And here you can see our wall is a little bit close to that Imperial base. That turret able to shoot into the wall. It's not going to do much damage. And here we're going to have our first battle against the Imperials. I'm going to send my ranged units to close off this path. So you can see the Empire sending mounted troopers, regular troopers, but also dark troopers, which are very powerful units, arguably the best in the game, probably the best for the Empire. Thankfully, the Empire doesn't end up sending a lot of them over the course of this game, but even just one is a lot for my forces to handle early on. Here you see the Empire start to send in some heavy artillery. So we've got our mounted troopers rushing those units, the pummels devastating at close range to buildings, the artillery, further range units that can be equally damaging to units as well as buildings. There you can see it attacking our turret. The building on fire down below is just a sentry building, no big deal. It's meant to just sort of be there and suck up enemy fire. More mounted troopers coming in, not an overwhelmingly sized force. Our army definitely took some hits there, so we are building a medic to try and revive those injured troops. More pummels coming in. Mounted trooper rush. Wibaka is also a a melee unit, so he can get in there and rough stuff up at close range. There, we got the wall built, thankfully. And here we're going to attempt to build a light wall, because I knew that the Empire would mostly be coming that way. So I didn't want to invest in a larger wall. And we get away with just 1 health. You see the Empire trying to shoot me down back there. So you see them attacking the walls, but they're not going to do a whole lot of damage unless if they started to bring mounted troopers or pummels, something like that, which surprisingly they don't. They divert them all through to the open route. Here you can kind of see we've really researched just about everything that we can to improve our troops. Empire starting to attack that southeastern wall a bit, though they're just not doing a lot of damage. So we're holding the line here pretty well. Trying to split up my forces a bit, keep the short-range units back so they don't get picked off by the long-range units. There you see an artillery unit launching shells into the wall. So they're definitely, at least at that point, trying to make an attempt to get through the wall. And here I'm sending a group towards that Trandoshan camp to try and liberate them. For some reason, the Empire just peeled off there. I'm not sure why. They must just not have thought it was worth the effort. There you can see the turret not doing a lot of damage. Here's another fairly weak attack attempt by the Empire. Rushing that artillery piece. Managed to blow it up. Here we are starting our attack run on the Trandoshan slave camp. Trying to build that wall. And there is a small gap there, so we're going to attempt to build a wall there as well. However, as you can see, that worker immediately starts getting shot at by Imperial fortresses. So that's sort of one of the things that's unfair about these campaigns, is that the Empire starts with an incredible amount of resources and workers that they're able to build those powerful buildings that doesn't allow us to get even close to their base. Not that I would want to. You're definitely playing on the defensive in this mission, except right here where we're trying to liberate this camp. The Trandoshan slavers, they're kind of resilient little bastards, but we outgunned them. Though they are definitely putting some damage in. They've killed a couple of our troopers there. Empire taking the long route here. Attacking the backside of our base, pinching us a little bit here with that artillery to the east. Our mounted troopers, though, are going to get in there and take care of them, no problem. Reserve troopers get into the fray. And under the sustained fire, that ATST is going to go down. From this Trandoshan slaver camp, we liberated a lot of Wookiee mechs, which are nice because they are good against mobile artillery units, which is a lot of what the Empire is sending at us. And they have increased range, so they're a great defensive tool. They're just going to sort of allow us to sit back, pick off things from a distance. We're just going to try to finish them off right here. I think that the Trandoshan buildings are pretty cool. Here's a little bit of a stronger Imperial attack. They're sending artillery, troopers, and heavy mounted troopers. A little bit of a mixed bag. But it's just not enough, though they do manage to blow up that turret there. Ibaka is going to get a little overextended here, so we're going to have to pull him back. And the Empire's coming right back at us with a pummel, a couple more troopers. So relatively consistent and persistent in their attacks, but they are sending relatively small forces at a time. We're going to send those rescued Wookiees back to base. There you can see, you know, the power of a mounted trooper against a slower, long-range artillery piece. Sustaining a few casualties here, but thankfully we have the medic who can recover the hit points of those units, which is definitely cheaper than recruiting them over and over again. Han and Chewie there taking on the Empire. There's our full force with the mechs and all of the troopers, charge of the mounted units here. Looks like they're the Wookiees. They ride these Triceratops-looking things, which I'm not sure what they're supposed to be. The Empire ride Dewbacks, Rebels, predictably Tauntauns, Gungans, Kadu. Yeah, and the Wookiees Triceratops. So here we've got really a pretty good defensive setup, and you can see me finally start to working on that government tree. There I've got a Wookiee repairing the strike mechs. So while a medic can't heal a strike mech, you can have a worker repair it at the cost of some ore. More Imperial artillery, but gets taken down relatively easy. Here's another strike force. You can see the mechs, just with their distance and power, they're able to do a lot of damage before the Empire can really retaliate. We've got a lot of workers working on the building now. Building a wall to the north to try and cut off a sneak approach from there. We're going to close off another gap. So that area right there is going to end up being the only way that the Empire can approach from. That Wookiee worker being chased down by a terrifying Rancor. Han and Chewie gonna save the day. That worker putting up a good fight, though. That basic training definitely coming in handy. Able to sort of fend for himself. And we're just gonna pick off an abandoned Imperial medic there. More artillery from the Empire. You see it, you know, putting shots into that group of infantry, but we've got 3 medics sitting right there, able to negate all of that damage. A little bit bigger of a strike force here. 2 artillery and a pummel. Ultimately, we are able to defend against them, however. Trying to keep all of the different types of units separated. So there we've got our infantry, keeping the mechs in their own separate unit, and the heavy mounted troopers back. There towards the bottom are anti-air units.
Government tree is restored. Now let's hope we can keep it defended against the Empire.
So finally got the government tree built. And we have 200 days to keep it from being destroyed. Now that we have the workers and the resources, why not? We're going to try to build a medium wall this time further away from the fortresses so they won't be able to destroy it. And we've got a lot of anti-air units, again, because we don't have any anti-air mechs, any anti-air turrets. Those guys are all we have against incoming TIE fighters. All of those workers working very hard to get that wall built. You can see that artillery unit was struggling, trying to get across that wall. Building some turrets. And we ordered a wall be constructed even further north from where those guys came from. Even though they penetrated our defenses, turret's going to handle those guys easy. Empire, they got a couple units through here, but we do manage to get this wall built, and we've got turrets that are going to be able to shoot this artillery piece down before it can do too much damage. Here you see a landing craft, and we don't quite manage to shoot it down before it dumps off some APTPs. I'm not sure. This was probably the second most serious strike on our base, but we just have so many units that we are able to repel them eventually. Turrets are going to take care of those strike mechs. We did suffer a few casualties there, but ultimately our force is just so much bigger. Here the Empire sends some TIE fighters and a bunch of bombers, which was a little bit scary. Here the anti-air troopers really proved their worth. Bunch of bombers coming in. Bombers, very underrated units. They can't defend themselves against fighters, but they do a lot of damage to buildings and to ground units. Granted that their accuracy is on point. So they killed quite a few anti-air units there. We had 4 left though, and they managed to repel the attack. So our strategy was a success. See the strength of that wall there. Another shuttle manages to dump off some troops from the backside. Turrets, though, are going to mainly repel that attack. Another charge, and we defend for 200 days successfully.
The government tree had been built and defended. I wouldn't have believed it, but then again, I've never seen anything a Wookiee couldn't build or fix, given enough grease and transmission wire. But, as with most of Han's plans, the scheme to contact the Republic didn't go quite as smoothly as it should have.
Alright, so victory for the Wookiees. This is a really great campaign. It's probably the best constructed campaign, even though the Rebel Alliance is my favorite faction. This is probably the most interesting campaign, at least. So I hope that you liked the video. Let me know more of what you would like to see. This is the last campaign video that I will be making for now. So thinking about doing some different standard games. Let me know more of what you would like to see. I'd appreciate if you would like this video, subscribe to the content if you are enjoying these Galactic Battlegrounds playthroughs. This is Genghis John signing off. Until the next video, may the Force be with you.